Welcome to the BFF Report. Did I wear this shirt last week? I don't even remember anymore. Welcome to the BFF Report. I'm your host, Mike BAK Phony, and today we're gonna be talking about Dragon's Nest, the latest game to come out of Nexon. It's a free-to-play game, just went open beta, like literally as me recording this right now, like 36 hours ago. So this is more of a first look, kind of a guide to those of you guys who are maybe thinking about getting into it and have absolutely no idea what type of game it is. Hint, it's kind of like Vindictus. All right, so character creation is a little bit on the light side, not a whole lot of modification and stuff that you could do, but then again, given the art style, there's really not a whole lot of things you could change on it, right? I mean, you look at the face, wow, they pretty much all look the same. Hair, right? You do get some different types of hair, like 3 of them. Now, notice that there's very few hairstyles you could choose from, which tells me that this is gonna be a lot like Vindictus, where you can actually unlock different hairstyles later on once the game is released. Now, given the fact that the game came out like, it's not even 24 hours ago, there's probably not a whole lot of things available right now to kind of go through in order to give examples of, especially given, you know, hair and customization options. All that stuff's gonna come later on. Obviously, this is the best hair right here. But that's pretty much it. I mean, and all of your gear is going to be replaced as soon as you get it anyways, so making modifications to your stuff here is really just, I guess, make you feel better about yourself or something. And then once you get done here, it's like, okay, let me go ahead and see, let's go and make sure the back's good. So I already have one of each character, and I kind of went through and did like the basics and everything just to kind of get the gist of how each one plays, and each one plays completely different. And keep in mind, these are your basic classes. When you hit level 15, you get advanced classes, and then when you hit level whatever after that, you're gonna have like your tertiary classes. So you can actually expand these things off into like barbarian, and then like whatever other crazy things after that. But you start off with the basics. So we have sorcerer, we have warrior, we have archer, and cleric. The guy on the right who's clearly had way too much coffee. What the hell? We'll start things off with the cleric, and you know, normally you would think right off the bat this would be a healing class, and it is later on, but right away you're gonna be starting off with your one-hander and your shield, and you're gonna be knocking out all kinds of 20 to 30, upwards of 50 hit combos because this dude is fast. Now this may be misleading at the beginning because you're gonna think, oh wow, this guy's crazy, I can knock out all these crazy combos, but just keep in mind that he is primarily, eventually, gonna be a support class. The archer is your run-of-the-mill range, light armor, but agile type of class. However, a buddy of mine whose primary character is an archer tells me that some of the abilities leading up to his subclass selection are more melee focused than he'd expected. But given that the acrobat is the subclass to the archer, I wouldn't be surprised to see the class develop into a full-blown ninja and the range attacks become secondary. Now the sorcerer starts off primarily instant attack based, but if you notice, some of my special moves are actually placing a dot on the character, if not for very long because they die pretty much instantly. Taking that into account, I think you can expect this class to unfold into a full-blown CC / damage over time style support class. The warrior, which, big shocker, I rolled with for this episode, is about what you'd expect him to be, a badass. Now, to be fair, for demonstration purposes, I'm rolling this footage from a master difficulty instance, and that coupled with the fact that he's like 9 levels higher than the previous characters I just showed you, definitely tips the visual badassery scale in his favor. But don't let that take away from the fact that this guy kicks so much ass.
Hi there.
What the hell was that?
There.
Oh geez, wow. Really? Hold on. Oh, I see. Wow, well, I guess I'll just approach it from this side from now on. Now speaking of special attacks, and there are a number of ways you can approach this, each class starts off with 2 basic specials on top of their existing right-click, left-click attacks. As you level, you can either advance your existing abilities or unlock new ones, or both. One of the ways I've found is pretty interesting. You actually come across skill books that drop as loot as you go through these dungeons. And the nice thing about these books is that buying a new skill actually costs gold, right? Or silver or copper, depending on what level you are. And I can imagine that as you progress in level, some of the higher level skills are probably gonna end up costing you a ton of cash. So having these books just randomly drop everywhere is probably gonna be really nice later on in the game. Of course, sometimes this means you're gonna have tons of space in your bag taken up by skill books you're not even high enough level to use yet, but you really can't complain. As far as the different input options to playing, yes, just like Vindictus, aside from using the mouse and keyboard, you can use your Xbox controller to play. And I really can't complain given that the gameplay is right up there with Ocarina of Time and Fable with a dash of like God of War. If you're coming from Vindictus and you're used to using a controller, then obviously you're gonna feel right at home. For the rest of us, it's not gonna be quite as tight as like, let's say Ocarina of Time, right, again, but you can get used to it after a while. As you can see here, I'm having a hell of a time just moving my character and activating abilities. I just can't get, maybe it's because there's so many buttons on this thing. Give me a controller with 2 buttons and I'll show you what's up. Now let's talk about the differences between the difficulty settings in each instance area and how those areas are accessed. Remember in Vindictus how they had the docks and each boat would take you to like a different and specific dungeon? Then you can increase the difficulty level as you progressively unlock them. Well, almost that exact same setup is here too. I'm not saying copy pasta because I feel that implies this is a bad thing, so we'll just say, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Now, if you're just getting started in Dragon Nest and you are completely terrible at games, do not waste your time on easy mode. You get garbage experience from it, and in most cases, and in all cases, normal is already unlocked, so just start with that. Now, as you complete each difficulty level, the next one unlocks up through the abyss, which I couldn't access probably due to my character level. And as you progress through the tiers, the difference seems to be simply more mobs with more health, which obviously leads to more loot. Way more loot than you probably want to be bothered with, to be honest. And you'll also start seeing elites and boss mobs mixed in with regular mobs and all that as well. When you complete each dungeon, you get the same vindictive slow-mo boss kill, then the scoreboard, and depending on the rank for that level, you get to play different variations of this loot lotto minigame, which I guess could award you with Price's fabled artifacts from another plane of existence, but all it gave me was crap. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is pretty important. It's the empowerment bar. This is fatigue. Every MMO has something similar to this, especially free-to-play MMOs, right? Like a LODs, okay? And what it is bonus experience that you get whenever you complete quests and do all that. And eventually that bar is going to run out. And when it's out, that's it. You get no more for that day. Every single day it gets refilled, and then you can go in and just do it all over again. But just keep an eye on that, and that way you kind of pace yourself, or I'm sure eventually there's gonna be some kind of cash shop item that'll come out that'll allow you to either get more bonus XP or use less of it while still retaining the same amount of bonus. Who knows? We're not gonna get into that stuff yet. But to touch on that, yes, there are tons of stuff that we need to talk about. PvP, cash shop, item enhancement, crest, achievements, advanced classes, there's tons of stuff. But the game is too new outside of Korea. I know it's been there for a while, but you know, things do change whenever it leaves South Korea and comes out to the rest of us in Australia, US, and Europe. So we're gonna hold things out for a little while, maybe come back and check into it in about a month or so, get me some advanced classes going and things so I can show you guys what actually happens when you progress past the first 10 levels. And then obviously cover some of the more fun stuff like PvP and all of that. All right, guys, that's pretty much all I want to cover today. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that we're going to be covering in the future. Maybe one more episode on this. I just want to give them a chance to kind of go through and not fix things. I don't say fix things, but just get them a chance to get out there and maybe do some adjustments. I mean, for example, the empowerment thing. I mean, that thing, they could probably be making tons of changes to that. If you guys remember all LODs when it was in beta, the whole fatigue thing went through like a billion changes. So who knows what's gonna happen over the course of the next month or so, but I figured I'd give them a head start before I'm able to jump in there and really get in there and try some of those advanced classes as well as other cool stuff. PvP, right? That's my primary thing. I love that stuff. Anyways, I will see you guys next week. Twitter, aka Mike B, Facebook, YouTube, all that stuff. I'll see you later, bye.